it's so killer through here. Because you can really test the suspension, you know, if you haven't had a chance. Well, you've been on the track with this car, so you kind of know, you know, what it's going to do.
Sure.
We took Alex's Corvette through here, and we just kind of pussyfooted it around because it only had like 300 miles. Not even that. I think he had 100 miles on it when we did it through here. Oh, wow. And I wasn't even trying. And the car had a really good, solid feel for these corners. But look at this elevation change through here. I mean, this is great. So, hey guys, this is Brad with Lucky 7 Racing and the Cars, Coffee, and Donut Automotive event that happens in San Diego. And I'm hanging out today with Patrick Partin in his 2019 Mustang GT. I've known Patrick for a little while, and he saw some of the YouTube stuff, and he noticed I said, you know, I'd love to get a Mustang GT, take it out, and just see what it's like compared to some of the other stuff I've done. So that's what we're doing today. Pat, how's it going? It's good to see you as always. Tell me a little bit about this, because you've been a Mustang guy for quite some time. What turned you on to this model, and why you wanted just the base GT instead of one like, say, the GT350, or maybe even the GT500 or some of the other offerings?
Well, that is yeah, that's a good question. Well, I was looking to get back into the Mustang. I took a little break, did BMWs for a little bit, been a Mustang guy at heart, and said, I hear all good things about the IRS, and I wanted to get it on the racetrack, and the GT350s certainly can race. And the GT I thought could do just as well for a little bit cheaper, because you're not going to pay a big MSRP on it. And
got a great pickup. For sure.
We're finding out right now. They've got power.
Good pickup here. I mean, you got 460 horsepower and about 420 foot-pounds of torque in the base model. And of course, now the base model is a little bit less weight from a performance standpoint compared to some of the other vehicles.
Comparatively to the, I guess the other cars in this class would be the Camaro and the Challenger. This is one of the lighter ones.
Yeah.
It is a pig. It's right around 4,000 pounds.
Yeah, I think I read 3,500 or 3,800, but depending on what's in it, you're going to be around 4,000. Sure. Now, whereas like a Camaro SS, that actually is a little bit heavier. I think that was around 3,600 to 4,000 with the 1LT package, which is kind of their base model. And then comparative of BMW M4, you're anywhere between 3,600 and almost 4,000. So you're close depending on what's there, the package you buy, and that sort of thing. Sure. But this is, you know, this is great. The turn-in is really nice here. It's very responsive. Of course, we have the different modes, as you were showing me earlier, the different steering modes that you can adjust, the different suspension modes. I think we're just in sport mode all the way across, which allows us to have a little bit more of a firmer feel within the suspension and the steering, get a little bit more feedback as we go through this windy road here that we like to test our vehicles on. But this is, man, this feels really good through here. You got that good American muscle car sound too, and it's factory exhaust on this car. Now the Camaro SS that I actually tested, that came from Hertz, they had done some work to it, and it sounded pretty good as well. It had that deep throaty sound to it, but this is stock and it sounds like this. I mean, that really turns me on as a car guy. And of course, you got a 6-speed manual transmission here. Now, this as a 6-speed manual is not really common, because a lot of the factories have gotten away with, or done away with, the manual transmission offering. So you're real lucky in finding this.
I was, and actually, if you're trying to get a good deal on a Mustang, guys and gals, you can sometimes use that against the dealer. You can find cars been sitting on a lot for a bit because people want the 10-speed, because people don't like manuals, and use that to your advantage if you can. It's a great manual.
It is. I mean, it's got a great feel as we're going through the gears, and it's got that auto rev match to it. And I overshot the corner a little bit there, but it's you know, just in playing around here and seeing what it does and how it responds, and with the transmission. This is the first year of the auto rev match, right?
It is the first year. The 2019 they started it, and I have a 2018 as well, which doesn't have it. So sometimes you really miss it from time to time.
Yeah.
But on the racetrack, you know, heel and toe.
Sure.
But it saves you. It just makes you, you know, and that's what I think the other neat parts about the car is. It makes you feel that you're a lot better driver than you are with the IRS. It's not. It'll take an awful lot of amateur people, make them feel like they're professionals. It'll make you look good. And
yeah. That's what you've talked about. Yeah, I mean, because you have so many different, you know, simple adjustments to make it look like you know what you're doing when you really don't. Which I usually try to say when I'm at the racetrack myself, because I get lucky every now and then getting a decent lap, and everyone, you know, gets that one solid flyer, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, look, I look like I know what I'm doing. Sure. Oh man, that's such a good elevation change right there. So now you bought this car to do track days and whatnot with as well. I mean, it's your kind of your weekend cruiser. We've, you know, you come to the Cars and Coffee events in San Diego quite a bit, and you know, hang out with the guys, and then you've had some good track days with it. So I think you said you've been to Chuckwalla. Have you been anywhere else with it?
This has gone to, I think, all of the Southern California. missing one, I think. But no, this one gets around.
That's awesome. Sonoma maybe as well?
I haven't gone to Sonoma.
Okay.
Sonoma and Thunder Hill are next ups for this. And what is it? Thermal.
Yeah.
No one can afford thermal.
No, unfortunately, but it's you're kind of a track day race car guy anyway, because you've been to the East Coast and done some stuff. You have a background in racing.
I do. So, and that's what kind of got me back. I went home for a bit and said I really miss racing, and came out. It took me maybe about a week or so, and I started looking around, and I found this guy in a lot, and said, let's go do this. So, started hitting up some local HPDE groups and stuff, and this thing is just an absolute blast.
Yeah, I mean, in the simplicity of it, because you really don't have anything done to it. You've kept the suspension stock, the wheel and tire package on it. I mean, are you running a stickier tire on this at the moment, or is it just the...
So this right now are just some regular Indy 500s. So they're a 340 treadwear. You're not going to get super amazing dry, but I do have a set of HREs, and with them some Michelin Sport Cup 2s.
Okay.
Which you figure your whole car and your life are running on tires, might as well go for the good ones.
Sure, get something that's got a grip as you're going through the corners. We've got good grip here. We're not really pushing it, but I can feel where the car likes to be happening. I could probably push a little more, but a little bit of traffic this morning, so we can't really do what we'd like to do. But it is what it is. I mean, it's a nice Sunday drive. We're out here enjoying the weather. I mean, we're lucky that with where we live, the weather's always decent. So if you want to go for a canyon run, you're going to usually about 95% of the time have pretty decent weather on a Sunday, or whenever you decide to go and take the cruise. This has been it's a good little vehicle there. See if we can get around this guy here in a minute. Where this guy will let us around.
But with the heavier cars, yeah, you need those bigger tires, those better tires, because it's not a Miata.
Yeah, that's true. So because the weight that we're at with this, you definitely need to have the bigger tire for the grip and the wear and tear, I'm sure, on the tires, depending on how you drive it. If you're really moving with it, you can probably eat tires up pretty quick with a heavier car.
They won't last long on a track day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why if you don't. Oh, hello.
Well, let's see if we can. Unfortunately, we're stuck waiting for this guy to get around these corners because he's so slow. It's a great little road here that we've got. This was because where we test here and whatnot, it gives us a lot of opportunity to be able to, really put the car through its paces, because you have such an elevation change on this road that we're on, and some really tight cornering. So if we were really able to push it through here, we can see what this car wants to do, and stick to the road pretty decently, I'm sure. I mean, I wouldn't want to swing the thing and suddenly find out how much little room you've got on this road.
Relative to a Toyota Tacoma, I think this car would handle.
Yeah, because we've got a truck in front of us, so we can't really do like what we could do. Yeah, but now from a comparative standpoint, from lap times that you've seen, because you've done so much with the local tracks, from what you've seen, like the Camaro guys and the BMW M3, M4 guys, where did this compare within that realm? Figure driver with about the same experience that you got, because you've got a lot of driving experience.
So bone stock, assuming drivers are equal, this will fit very nicely. I'm usually among the higher, usually the top, couple slotted ones at the HPDs, but you'll see it up next with Porsches. You'll see it. I mean, it depends on if it's a bigger track, right? The bigger tracks like Auto Club, where you get to use its muscle, it's very high at the top. There aren't too many for that.
Because you get that big straightaway there down the front stretch into 1 and 2, so you can just send it and go. But then you get into where it's more technical, like Chuckwalla, Willow.
Your Buttonwillow and Chuckwalla, where there's a lot of smaller, tighter corners, and it's still faster in your Miatas, which is a nice benchmark, right? If you do better than a spec Miata, you're doing okay,
Yeah.
So, but it will handle with a Porsche,
And that's a completely different platform, because you got rear motor, rear drive. The weight balance is completely different.
Totally different.
Versus this, which I'd be curious to see what this thing's like on the scales, unless you know where your weight balance is.
With me in it and a full tank of gas, so I'll call me, 180.
Sure.
This is 3940 on a CAT certified scale outside Buttonwillow, California.
No kidding. Wow. And that's almost with like a 50-50 balance, maybe, or maybe
it's a little. It's close. It's a lot more neutral than we give it credit for.
Maybe 55-45.
The SN95s of prior generation, right? The ones right after the Fox budded late 90s, early 2000s. Those were very front heavy. So this is a lot closer back. This is probably a 54-46.
Oh wow, that is pretty level.
So
I mean, that puts you on a playing field with an M3. That puts you on a playing field with. I don't know where it is with the Camaro. I think the Camaro is a little bit more nose heavy, at least the one that I tried.
It depends on the model and the generation.
Yeah, because there's so many different packages. I mean, this is the base package, which again with the manual transmission I love, because being a car guy and somebody wants to drive, I want that feedback to me instead of just clicking through gears. Even though that's where the technology has gone, because as we know of what the factories have done through IMSA and some of their GT programs, they found that use the F1 technology in the street car or the race car technology in general in the street cars, and they just have more success there with their buyers because people don't drive manual transmissions. You lose that third pedal.
It's a shame too. A lot of.
So we got it. This picks up good. And we're cruising. I mean, we're cruising along nicely. You don't even feel it.
It's really weird. It's the most powerful, not powerful car I've ever had.
Yeah.
The older Mustangs had, just as much power, but they felt it. So this is.
Yeah, you don't have that kick of like, wow, you're really moving here. Got a little corner here. Oh yeah, really turning too. I'm short shifting it, just because I don't want to rev it too high. I like that rev match from the factory, so I don't have to heel and toe necessarily. So it makes a dumb driver smart, like what you were saying. Sure. Because it gives you that option, whereas you and I, in a lot of cases, being able to rev match or heel and toe downshift in certain aspects in certain cars. I've driven a Formula car where I had to do that a little bit, and it was learning it was really difficult. Whereas this, it's like you just kind of clutch and go once you get off the brake.
It's it's a lot of things that make the really fast guys from the kind of fast guys is footwork, right? And it really takes that element out of it. Anyone knows how to clutch, but heel and toe, and getting the rhythm right, getting your shift point right, you just basically come into the turn.
Yeah, that is a lost art, being able to heel and toe versus today where it's just click, click, click. And I know Porsche has it. I think BMW offers it. I know some of the higher end models have it. I don't think Camaro or Dodge offers it in some of their models. I could be wrong.
I think the 1LE has it, but yeah, it's an option.
Yeah.
And it's people are coming around to it. You can disable it, so if you don't like it, it is something you can turn on and turn off. The same thing with line lock and launch control.
That's why you were saying that there's also a drag mode in this. So if you want to, set it up to, warm up a set of slicks, you put it in drag mode. I'm assuming it'll let you do a burnout in the box.
You can do a nice burnout.
Yeah, and then you can send it and go. So that's, that's an option that other vehicles don't seem to have. In fact, I think I remember Top Gear reviewed one of these, and they had that option, but I think it was on the GT500 that they showed it on. I think they showed it on the base one. I mean, this is essentially Mustang or Ford, essentially with the historic aspect of the Mustang. It came out in 64 and a half. Ford wanted to go after Chevy specifically because they were losing out in the car market. Dodge wasn't even really considered anything then. And then, of course, the pony car wars and the muscle car wars began because Chevy came out with the Camaro in 67. And then, of course, it was really refined in 69, which is the one that everyone sought after if you're after a classic Camaro. It's kind of that early generation. Whereas with Mustang, you could almost get something from the beginning years all the way up through to today's car, and it's a sought-after historic vehicle.
It hasn't stopped.
No, and honestly, I've never been a Ford guy. I grew up in a GM family, so we had Corvette, we had Pontiac, we had Fiero, and then of course I had a truck with my brother when I first learned how to drive. So it was its own, uniqueness driving a truck, and your first car, you learn how to drive a stick shift. I've been driving a stick ever since. I drove a 4-cylinder turbo Mustang back in 2016 as a rental car, and before I started doing video reviews, I said, well, let's rent the turbo 4-cylinder and see what it's like. And of course, I had some of the features like this has, where you have the steering input modes that you can change, you have the suspension modes you can change when you're in sport mode, just cruising down the freeway mode, or full on track mode like what we have here. I don't think it had drag mode in it quite yet. And it was also 2015 through 2016 model. They really didn't do that car for very long. Of course, the V8 has always been synonymous with the Mustang. It's gone from a 289 cubic inch up to a 302, and then of course it went down to the 4.6 liter, which I think was like a 281, yeah. And now they've gone back to the 5.0, which is what this is. And of course, over the years, they've gone from a 2-valve pushrod motor to a 3-valve overhead cam, and this is the 4-valve overhead cam, right?
This is, and so they've actually even eked a little bit more. This is now technically a 305. A lot of people, when the 302 and the Fox bodies, they were going at a 4.9, you know, a little rounding thing.
Sure.
And it's just technically a 5.0 because it sounds nicer, right? Once
Sure.
it's a 4.9.
Yeah, the marketing aspect of a 5.0.
5.0.
Sure.
You know, especially with that history and that nameplate of the Boss 302 and the others. This is technically, I think, a 305 or a 307.
Okay.
They're putting a little extra smidge into it, so it's they're not gonna call it 5.1.
Yeah, a little bit more of a bigger piston probably on the motor, maybe the same stroke on the bottom end.
But these, it's interesting too about the Mustang. A lot of people don't realize, you know, some people want it to be the world's most powerful super, you know, all that.
Sure.
They have to try to and why I think it survived, whereas the Camaro and other cars that had, you know, little vacations, they disappear for a little bit.
Of course.
The Mustang, you talked about your EcoBoost, which is 300 something horsepower,
Yeah.
which is as powerful as my 98 Cobra.
That's incredible.
So their entry level is as powerful
Sure.
as the top, which is crazy.
It's incredible what the technology has done with turbo technology over the years.
Just a little two-cylinder. I mean, it's 2.3. They don't have a 4-cylinder model.
Now that's got good pull there. Just let's see what we got here. Good brakes too.
Yeah, so stock, that 4-cylinder, 4-piston does okay, but
That feels good there. Man, I
but
like that.
they make all their money with the fleet sales, right? So, you know, you
course.
have to have every time you go to an airport, right? People want to rent a Mustang.
Yeah, so they've
Drop
got
the top, have some fun.
yeah, and those are typically V6s. Sometimes the 4-cylinder.
They did away with the V6, so yeah, now they got a 4-cylinder, which is rather peppy.
Yeah,
For 300 horsepower, you can get in trouble pretty quick.
Yeah, it's incredible what you've got with one of those. I mean, you could easily have some fun with one of those, just as we're having today, just cruising. So, I mean, this is a great, you know, going out and cruising around. And, you know, why don't we go take a closer look at this vehicle a little bit? We'll take a look at the engine, the suspension a little closer, and the tire package that comes from the factory, because this is pretty much stock and a little bit of trunk space, like we've done with some of the other cars that we've got, just to give you guys a better idea of what really comes with one of these compared to some of the other models that are out there. All right, now that I've broken the phone cover, let's take a closer look at this car and see what's really in here, because we've got a lot going on with this vehicle as far as just where it's come from over the years, because the Mustang has always been so iconic as far as what they've done with it, from, like we talked about before, the 64.5 all the way up to this is now the 2019, so many of the changes. So first off, let's get up under the hood. Let's take a look at the 4-valve motor that we've got here.
There you go.
That's the right spot. It's hot as ever from driving it. So, 5-liter 302, actually 305 from what Pat said, and it's now the dual overhead cam 4-valve motor. So you're making about 460 horse, like we said before, about 420 foot-pounds of torque. Now, in comparison, the Camaro SS was right around 455 torque, 455 horsepower, 455 torque. And a BMW M4, I think, is right around 440 to maybe 460. It kind of depends on the package that you get with the car. So all in all, it's really comparative compared to some of the others and everything that's in the class. And as far as the performance standpoint, from what we just saw earlier from driving it, it's pretty equal to a degree, of course, depending on the driver and you're at the track. So I'm gonna have Pat talk about the wheels and tires and suspension and the braking on this, because it's pretty unique to what the aspect of this vehicle is.
All right, so as you can see, this has some EcoBoost rims. Some people will definitely catch that, the Mustang folk. The white and black combo, I think, is a really nice look to this. You can see those are some pretty big rotors up front. Those come stock, so those are a 4-piston originally. And when you're driving a 4,000-pound car, you kind of need to stop a 4,000-pound car, and it does so pretty good, as we saw. This also has an IRS rear, which a lot of the people who've seen videos of Mustangs eating up people don't see them more in this model, because the IRS actually keeps you well planted. You don't have to worry about the TTO, the torque throttle oversteer, as much. This is also on stock springs, so it sits pretty nice. You know, some people will still drop it. But those brakes, yeah, can actually stop it rather good. They do, which is really interesting actually on this one. If you can see in here, this is what they call an inverted hat rotor design. And what that means is that when you're stopping, all your gases are actually trapped on the inside. And so while these are great for autocross and drag and even just around town, if you are tracking a car, you will overheat and find what brake fade is all about. That is a 3rd generation Coyote motor, and you can see right here on the cap a little thing which is almost worn away, but these are flex fuel, and so you'll see a lot of people running E85 Mustangs, and the computer now knows about it. So if you put some higher capacity E85 into it, it will tune the car and give you a little bit more bang, and that's why I find a lot of people taking these things into 11s and 10s with very few modifications. This also has quad tip exhaust on here, which is something that came in the newer editions. They started that in, I believe, 2018 as well, with the 3rd generation Coyote. And this one is a base model which does not have what they call active exhaust. So they have a special little actuator valve that opens and closes it and gives you a whole bunch of different abilities to make it super loud or super quiet.
You could probably fit, you know, a couple of sets of golf bags in here from a, you know, comparative standpoint of like the Camaro. I don't think the Camaro had quite as much room. I know the Corvette definitely had a different layout. You know, as far as the C8 went, when I looked at Alex's car, of course, having the frunk and the trunk, and as far as what could actually fit where. Whereas this, everything is just here in the back. You can, you know, run to the grocery store if you want to, put some golf bags in here, go to a track day, you can probably fit your gear in here pretty easily. So there is some room in there. And of course, this considered the fastback coupe, I believe, is what this body style is. As we shut the trunk, it's got, you know, this fastback design to it, which was originally in, I think, 69 or 70, right around that realm, when they first came out with the fastback. And then of course they had the notchback, which was real popular with the Fox body guys, and they've done away with that design in the car. So you've got a lot of good just looks here with this car. It looks like a good strong muscle car. It's probably, I would say, between the Camaro, the Mustang, and the Challenger Charger, this is probably the closest compared to maybe say the Challenger that really looks like a modernized muscle car. The Camaro has gone away from a lot of the look of what the originals look like, which is what the factories wanted to do with the marketing, was to kind of bring that back a little bit. And Ford has kept that with that look. And they've had this body style, I believe, 4 years now, 5 years. So they're coming up on a new body style change here, I think within 2022. So we're going to see a difference in what you see now within the next couple of years for what Ford's going to do. The next thing to really take a look at here is the interior of this car. If you want to come around and we can show you what we've got. Now, it's not like the Porsche and the Corvette that I've looked at before. It's not real fancy. It is a simple, run-of-the-mill interior. You've got really good side bolstering in the seats, so if you go do a track day, go do a mountain run, you've got some support here. I'm 6'2", I fit pretty decently inside this car. Pat's about the same height. You know, everything just fits real well. The gauge cluster in here is really easy to read. And of course, you've got the center console display as well, which gives you your audio display. You can hook your phone to the system through Bluetooth, and you can run different aspects of what the car readout gives you. And then of course, you've got your different changes that you can make with the sport settings, the track mode settings, the granny settings for just cruising down the freeway, and it's all push button and pretty easy to see. So all in all, this has just been a really great look, and you can really see how Ford has taken the muscle car and the Mustang and really redefined the muscle car brand with what they have in this. And what they have for the future, of course, we won't know for at least a couple of years. So fire this thing up, let's see what it sounds like, because it's got a really good sound to it. I don't know if you heard it earlier in the video, but just going down the road and when we were cruising around with it, the sound of this vehicle has a really good muscle car sound. And of course, it's a push button start, so. Just at idle, you can hear it and how well it sounds. And then of course, when you get on it a little bit, not bad. All right, I don't want to disturb the piece too much with it. So for now, this is Brad with Cars, Coffee, and Donuts, and of course Lucky 7 Racing, and we're going to go get this thing back out on the road, and we'll see you guys at the next event.